Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, local. Baltimore positive and calm as the water was in the Inner Harbor today. Usually I'm joined by Don Mohler, and so far we've had Don on. We've had his daughter on, the elementary school teacher over on the west side. We've had his sister on, who is still giving me incredible clinic psychology advice here in the middle of the pandemic. But it's about time we go back to the roots and get my man Jeff Mohler on from Mohler and Gary Realty. Hey, you were on before there were pandemics. You were on way back when we played football and baseball. I remember going to football games for almost 20 years and sitting with them with you, right?
Absolutely.
Well,
those were the good old days, Nestor.
Yeah, I know. And now we have. Usually, your dad would be bugging me right now. The tickets in. We're going. We're not going to the preseason. All that's gone, right? Like the last time I talked to you, you were trying to figure out pandemic, figuring out selling houses. Your wife's training people and can't stay 6 feet away from them. I got, all of my fitness companies, but Planet Fitness were down 3, 4, 5 months ago. All right, man, it's July. We got no baseball yet. We got football, maybe, but you are selling houses, and your dad talks about it, and I see it out online. Not just you, but realtors. In the middle of this, the fact that people are buying and selling homes, it does speak to the fact that some normal stuff's going on, right?
Yeah, Nestor. The market has been very similar to 2006 when things got a little bit crazy, super competitive. Multiple offers on a bunch of houses, people going over list price, removing contingencies from contracts. So it's been extremely strong with the rates being so low. And I think part of the phenomenon is that people thought they were going to be getting these great deals on houses during a pandemic, but the reality is that prices have not dropped. Rates have, but prices haven't. But it's just caused this increase in demand, and inventory is typically pretty low right now, which is really causing the competition as well, because people are still a little skittish about having a bunch of people traipsing through their home. So not a ton of inventory.
We took our home off the market the minute COVID hit, because we were like, we can't have anybody in the house, right? So
right.
We haven't considered or reconsidered at any point. I mean, obviously, I birthed Baltimore positive off of the challenges of selling a downtown condo, right? So, and I see things selling, but the thing that titillates me the most is I look and I say, what rate would we get right now if we went in 15 years, 30 years? What's the lowest rate you've seen that you've closed a deal on?
Well, if you're going to do, it's 2 3/4 for 30 years.
Can you imagine my father coming back from the grave in 1992 and talking about 2 3/4% loans on homes?
Oh, it's incredible. And when you talk to lenders, Nestor, they'll tell you that they believe that it's going to go lower. That they don't believe that this is the bottom. So that's something to keep an eye on.
Well, I mean, how can it be the bottom with 15,000 new cases in Florida yesterday, right? I mean, we're not playing football. We're not playing baseball yet. And I'll get to that with you in a couple minutes, because I know that's our mutual passion amongst your dad and family and all the fun things that we do around here. But from a housing perspective, when you talk about people, you put the house on the market at 10 a.m. in the morning, and by 3 in the afternoon you got 3 offers, and you got to sift through them and figure things out. That is the weirdness of 15 years ago. I remember that market.
Yes.
That was early in your career. You thought it was always going to be that way, right?
It was. That was early in my career. It was a wonderful time to get into the business, because it allowed me to kind of build up that client base. I learned a lot during that time, but it set me up for the downfall, where I had enough of a client base to survive that time. But this feels a lot, now maybe slowing down a little bit, but certainly the last month in June, it felt very much like 2006, where it was just uber competitive.
It's such a weird thing, though, with schools maybe happening, maybe not happening. Jobs, obviously there's been a lot of people where one half of the team has been laid off, or, cost some money, or PPPs in my case. And, all of these weird things have happened for people's finances, though, right? But there is something titillating about now is the time, thinking you were going to get a better deal on a house and knowing you're going to lock in with the bank on the best deal of your life, literally.
Oh, absolutely, and you make a great point, Nestor, because the people that are really looking, that are buying houses, they're people who have job security, um, and that doesn't mean, I own a bunch of rental properties. Well, that's been a different story. When you own rental properties, you're dealing with the tenants that their jobs haven't been as secure, and they're having trouble making their rental payments.
Well, this is
So
something
that's
we
been
talked to Brooke Learman about last week, your dad and I on Baltimore Positive, which is the rent problem we're having right now, which is guys like you that own homes, you're beholden to the bank. You don't want to be a bad guy or the nasty landlord upstairs, but like the bank's calling you or whomever the homeowner is for the renter, right?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the mortgage still has to get paid by me. Now, the banks have been fairly helpful. They've done these. They're offering these mortgage forbearances, which is allowed. It's allowed landlords to get by and to help out their tenants. So that part has been helpful, um, for sure. But it doesn't take away the fact that repairs still need to get done, taxes still need to get paid. You still need to take care of your tenants. You need to be understanding of what they're going through, and we need to be able to help them out as well. So it's just been a really interesting time for me because I'm on both sides of the coin where the sales have been just booming for the people that can afford to buy a house. They're really excited to go do that right now. But then I turn around with my rentals, and while some of my tenants are able to pay, some of them aren't, and I have to be empathetic to that and help them out as well. So it's been an interesting time in my profession, but I think
It's been a
it'll be one
time
that
for
we look
empathy in a
back
lot of
on.
ways, right? Like for just walking down the street and seeing what's happened. I say this every day to my wife. We walk through the harbor with masks on. I said, "What has happened here?" You know what I mean? I think we're all sort of scratching our heads. Your dad and I try to figure that out every day around here, right?
Yeah, it's. Can you figure it out? I mean, it's hard. It's hard to figure something out when we're not quite sure if anybody's figured it out yet. I'm confident that nobody's figured it out yet, and that makes this whole pandemic a little bit more difficult because people like you and I, Nestor, we want answers. We want to know the facts. We want to know
I want to know that the
specifics.
leadership that has integrity, let's start with that, that what they say they mean and what they mean they believe and what they believe doesn't have to be what I believe. It has to be what's for the greater good. And I don't sense any of that coming from Washington, D.C., and I'm about to go on a rampage the next 3 months because early November is going to be the most important thing that happens around here, and it's not going to be the Ravens game in New England that week, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's an important time in our history, and I think leadership does matter, and you're seeing how it matters. I mean, look, Nestor, the sad story about the college kids, I think it was in Alabama, who have this COVID party because they don't believe it's real. They believe it's a hoax. They don't believe it's that big of a deal. And if you go on Facebook, you'll have all of us have somebody in our network that believes the same, that it's not a big deal, that it's being overblown, that it's a hoax to affect the election. But you have these kids who have this COVID party, and a 30-year-old dies because he goes to this COVID party because he thinks it's not real and he thinks
At
it's
the
a
end of the
hoax.
day, Jeff, this is an IQ test. This is a Darwin. This is literally, that's where we are. I mean, and from the beginning of this, that's what it's been. And 6 months in, if you're of the mindset that this is a hoax, you might want to turn off the OANN news, and you may want to change your political affiliation because it's going to get you killed.
Yeah, it's dangerous. It's dangerous, and I can't quite understand why not be safe. Regarding this, when you have 137,000 deaths, why not be cautious and hang in there for a few more months until there's some sort of a vaccine or a cure? Why not? Why not wear a mask if we're now being told that will have a huge impact in stopping transmission
Well,
of
I
this
saw these
virus? So,
Freedom Warriors down in North Carolina a couple weeks ago. I mean, I felt like I was transported in time into, Confederate flag shorts and the gift shops and whatnot. And I'm walking, no one had a mask, Jeff. And it's almost like they've been watching a different movie the last 5 months than the rest of us wherever they live. I mean, I can't even judge where they're from or, where their pickup truck, whether it came in from Raleigh or Charlotte or whether it came in from the hills in Boonesboro. I have no idea, right? But I know they showed up on the beach. 80% of the people look like they didn't own a mask. Look like they had never worn a mask. And I'm talking about, we're into late June here, right? So seeing that and knowing where I am in the city, knowing where I've been in Harford County, Baltimore County, Anne Arundel, the places I've driven around to, I haven't been anywhere where people haven't had a mask on. Maybe accidentally in the parking lot out at the Home Depot last week or whatever. But, for the most part, most people, especially in indoor environments, everywhere I've been in the city, people have had a mask on. That clearly has not been heeded almost anywhere else in the country based on what we're seeing now. We're into July, right? Like these places that are having 15 to 20,000 cases a day, it's pretty obvious that these people, and I said it was almost like the safe sex thing back when I was single, it's an honor system. Do you not? Have you always, every time, have you been wearing a mask? And when I see these people that aren't wearing a mask, I just figure it's a safe sex thing. It's you never wear a mask. You don't even own a mask. Like, you've never even considered wearing a mask. You haven't worn a mask in 4 months, and now you're going to get within 5.5 feet of me. I was offended at my first trip to the grocery store. Now, I'm talking back in April, right, when there was no toilet paper. Back last time I had you on, I had a guy get up on me in a grocery store really early on with a mask on, screaming at me in front of, the brownies. And I just, I got a mask on, a hat on. I just said, I'm not going to have a confrontation in aisle 9 of the market. But that was 4 months ago. What I've seen now from that one interaction I had, literally the first time I went out of the house after a month, I had a bad interaction. And now I'm seeing that interaction happen everywhere in society where there are people wearing masks that want to protect people like my wife or people like your parents or people like your son. And then there are people that just have not gotten the message about science and they only believe what the TV con fraud tells them, which is really I've never just believed the President of the United States, no matter who the President of the United States is, but it really is culty on watching this happen and watching people have COVID parties and have Google and have not the ability to figure out what epidemiologists all over the world are telling them,
Well, Nestor, that's the interesting phenomenon, and really it's based off of fear, because what would be the best case scenario? That it's a hoax, that it's not real, and this is all blown out of proportion, it's not that dangerous, or that it's real and people are actually dying and you can transmit it, and this is a very serious deal. I mean, a lot of people I think would rather believe that it is a hoax, that it's not real, that it's not that dangerous, because that means that they're safer. That to them is a safer place for their mind to be. It's not, it's intimidating and it causes anxiety to be in a place where this is actually real. This is, we can transmit it. People are dying because of it.
We all want the illusion we're in control, right? Like literally, right? And Fauci said the smartest thing in the beginning, right? The virus will make the rules. Well, I'm sitting here on a former sports radio network, and you and I are about to talk about baseball and football, and guess what? The virus is going to make the rules. We're not going to make the rules.
Right. Yeah. And in my opinion, we have no real choice but to do our part, hope that the scientists figure it out sooner rather than later, and hope that we get some leadership in here that can help start saving some lives and get us there sooner rather than later. I mean, we should not be where we are right now. You shouldn't be last as far as defeating this virus in the world. I mean, we're pretty darn close to being last in the world of defeating this virus because we don't know what we're doing. So if you look at the numbers, you look at the facts, you say, well, wait a minute, we're not doing so well right now. We need to change course.
So much winning.
So we can all get back. Yeah. We need to change course so we can get back to a more normal life where people can get back to work and we don't have to live in this fear.
And I can come and hug you and, we can sit next to each other at a football game or something, right?
Exactly. I mean, you can't rugby. New Zealand's back and they're packing their rugby stadiums. Well, I'm jealous of them. You know,
How many high
but
fives I've given you in my life, and now the high five has been banned, you know? You and
right.
I have high fived 10,000 times in our life just on first downs alone in the upper deck, right?
Yeah, and that's all those interactions, and that's what's really difficult. All those interactions, the high fives, the hugs, the having conversations with people and shaking their hands. All those little interactions, you really miss those, and that's something that when you're an extrovert like yourself, Nestor, it's really tough on guys like you who that's your thing.
I'm
You go
brushing up
out.
on my Zoom skills, dude. You know, hanging out with guys like you here. Jeff Mohler is here. Mohler and Gary Realtors. You can find them at 410-489-2621 or at mohlerandgary.com. Say a few words about your real estate company and your real estate transactions. Then I'm going to get on to baseball and football a little bit with you and the kids.
Yeah, Mohler and Gary Realtors. We are a small boutique real estate company that started 13 years ago, Nestor, and we really thrived on building our company on honesty, integrity, and reliability. And through that, we have built up a ton of 5-star ratings on Google. We're 5-star rated on Google, 5-star rated on Zillow as well. So we're a good find for any of your clients out there, any of your listeners that are looking to buy or sell. Top-notch service based on personal service. You're not going to get a team. You're going to deal with us and just us throughout the transaction and after the transaction. So we're really proud of what we're doing. I think we offer something far different than the bigger companies out there, and we're serving the Baltimore area, and we've been doing it very well for the last 13 years.
Well, I'm looking at some of these homes on here. You know, I don't need the $2.7 million spread down the street here, but I'm watching them flick at the bottom here. Very interactive website. You can check it out at mohlerandgary.com. Jeff Mohler, along with Don Mohler and the Mohler family, been friends of mine for, your dad and I met in August of 1982. So we're about to do our 38th year next month of knowing each other. And baseball was the beginning of our relationship, literally getting me into journalism class. And in 1982, you may remember the Don Sutton, Jim Palmer game. That was at the very early part, the long Brewers weekend of my relationship with your dad. Baseball in the beginning, the Colts were still here then, right? Then the Colts left, and we get the Ravens back. And for literally a generation now, my wife and myself and you and your dad and your brother-in-law and your cousins and all of us have sat, your kids sometimes, sit together at these Ravens games. Sports has been the glue. I don't think about it like that. Like, if there were no sports, would I still be friends with your dad? Would we still be in each other's lives? I don't know. But I think about what sports has meant for me and for everyone. And I've been very, very vocal about the folly of them trying to play 60 baseball games and trying to play 16 or 17 or 18 football games and having a Super Bowl in Tampa next year. And we have the best football team. I mean, I want us to play. I'm getting the vibe this is not a real good idea. And, I've said this to my wife. I've said it a few times on the air, and I'll say it to you because I don't know that anybody has said this out loud, so I'll take credit for this. Where else in our society, Jeff Mohler, will we encourage 22 men to gather in a mud pit without masks on and wrestle for 3 hours for our television and wagering entertainment on weekends in America during a plague? Where else are we going to sanction such activity for anyone? What company owner would sanction that in good conscience, let alone with insurance? And that's what the National Football League's about to do. They're about to do something that every epidemiologist in the world would tell you, don't do that. Whatever you do, don't breathe on each other. Don't be in close quarters. Don't take that home to your wives and kids. Don't have those kids then going to school to be taught by your sister and other teachers, and then they go. That is the epidemiology of a plague, right? Like, so they're trying to do something that's ill-advised, as is baseball, by the way, all to make money and to entertain us. And the baseball thing's more fascinating than the football thing to me, Jeff, because right off the bat, the Orioles aren't making any money by playing this year, right? Like, there are 7 or 8 or 10 teams that just, without the gate, without the local marketing that they need, they're just not going to make money, and they would rather not play. now that we're into the middle of July, I think we should just rather not play than play some half-ass 60-game season with 3-inning pitchers and half the guys in the league don't want to play. Everybody's exposing themselves to this virus. I just think that nice effort, good American effort. You talk the game, you walk the game. Don't bring these football players into camp and be shutting down the Kansas City Chiefs 3 weeks into the season. That's my opinion on it, and I'm going to stick to that opinion until such time where they actually pull this off, have a World Series, have a Super Bowl, because I don't believe it. I think that's stupid talk. That's Donald Trump talk to me.
Well, I think you make a great point, and that's what happens if somebody gets infected, which is highly likely, right? I mean, we have, just based off of numbers, if it's 1 out of every 100, athletes, or even 1 out of every 1,000, there's more than 1,000 athletes in both of those professional sports. So somebody's gonna get infected, which means that franchise is going to get shut down. And then you got to go look at who they just played or who they just practiced with. And you got to shut that franchise down.
Oh, no! What gas station they went, where they got their wings last night? If they have a girlfriend on the side, I mean Earl Thomas, I not to mention whether their wives are hanging out with their sisters or the next door neighbors, and the kids are going to school. This is unconscionable, really. I mean, to me, the more I think about it, the more foolish it starts to really, really sound. And you know who it sounded really foolish to? One of your heroes, John Harbaugh. He got the rule book 4 weeks ago and said, "You're kidding me, right? We can't adhere to this, but we're going to play football anyway." I'm watching what's going on in Florida and Texas and California and Arizona, and I'm watching what the heat has done to the virus, which is nothing. If nothing else, it's emboldened idiots to exacerbate the disease. I'm extremely concerned about this. That's all.
Well, they certainly have a responsibility, and Oakley's coming out with the mask to put on the NFL's face mask, and hopefully will help stop with that transmission. But I agree with you. It's going to be. I want to see football. I want to see the action. I want to see baseball. And I'd be okay with going to baseball, Nestor. If I'd be okay right now just watching practice. If they just televise practice, because baseball you can socially distance just naturally. It's not like football where you are literally putting a hand on somebody every whistle. Baseball is a little bit different. It's a little bit easier to be socially distant.
I agree. Baseball can get away with it on the field. Where they're not getting away with it is where Aroldis Chapman, who the hell knows where he caught it,
Right. Yeah.
But the sequestering of human beings, Jeff, you have 2 beautiful children. You have wife. She goes her way. You go your way. You wear your mask. You do your thing. You eat your chicken fingers at lunch. Your kid, where you're. Can you imagine when you send your kids to school and now whatever they're touching's coming home to you, and the same thing's going on with 90 football players. What I'm saying is, if you're trying to do that with football players or baseball players, or lock the NBA players in the bubble down at Disney World and then let the whole world into Disney World. None of this is making sense. And to your point, it's very psychological. It's very, well, if I don't catch it, it's all good. And if I don't wear a mask and I don't catch it, and I play roulette with this thing, all is well. Or I've already had it. Then there's that. Like my wife and I think we've had it. So we don't think we can catch it, but we're not taking our chances. And we don't think we can give it to you and your kids, but we're not taking our chances. So the people that aren't taking their chances are like intelligent people like me and my wife that have been around this and spent 155 nights in a hospital fighting for her life. The people that live on the edge, and 22-year-old people, and people that don't read no books. And I mean, we have I saw it all in North Carolina a couple of weeks ago. The baseball players and the football players, I've spent my life around them, Jeff. They're no different than the rest of us, right? Some are responsible, some are not. Some are smarter than others. Some are more single than others. Some are hornier than others. Some are more homebody than others. Some are going to listen to every rule because their father's a doctor and they pay attention to this stuff. There's going to be a wide cross-section of all that, but they all come together in one place and they breathe on each other. And I just can't imagine this is going to go well based on the American study I've seen the last 5 months.
I don't know how it will either, Nestor, because I don't think, especially in football, if you have somebody who gets infected, and I just don't understand. I can't see how that doesn't happen. No, knowing what we know, just looking at Major League Baseball as the model for testing and how many guys have come back testing positive, you have to believe that somebody in the NFL is going to come back and test positive. So that's going to shut you down right away. So as much as we want to be excited,
shut you down, then what happens with your game against the Packers or the Chiefs on Sunday? What do you do?
Right.
What happens in the weekend? You're only playing 60 games. If you got 14 guys on your baseball team that can't play, I mean, I had Pedro Gomez on last week. His boy is a Double-A pitcher, Rio Gomez, in the Red Sox chain. And he's like, my boy's just trying to stay in shape because he's figuring like, yeah, they're going to lose a dozen pitchers along the way. You know what I mean? Like, at some point, he might get the call because they run out of humans. Your humans get sick. That's what they're going to be using the minor leagues for the next 2 months, a shuttle system.
Well, the thing that's really sad about Major League Baseball, and it's tough for some of these guys. Now, the guys who have big contracts, they can opt out, right? They got plenty of money. Them opting out because they already have their contract, they can decide to be safe with their families. What about the guys who are just got called up, or this is the year where they're going to make a big league roster and make a major league salary as opposed to a minor league salary? That's life changing for them. So they don't really have the ability to opt out of this season.
I watched Major League the other night. It was on. What you're saying is there's a Jake and a Roger Dorn. and Nick Markakis right now and Ian Desmond, they're Roger Dorn. You know what I mean? Like, so,
right.
And why would you risk this valuable piece of property with $100 million in the bank for a plague for 60 games to play for no one in a joke of a season that no one's going to take seriously anyway? I know I'm not, and I know the Orioles can't win. So, yeah, I know it feeds you and Dad's Jones to watch baseball, and mine too. My name's Aparicio. This is a bad idea, Jeff, in my opinion. This is a bad idea. There's no good outcome here, including the Orioles winning the World Series, which they're not. There's no good outcome.
No, and I think that they can get pretty creative. All the franchises can get pretty creative where there's baseball, but not like we know it. Where you can go, for example, at Camden Yards, they can have 100 fans come in, put them all in different sections, have it like you're going to watch them at spring training, where they can run their drills, stay socially distant, wear a mask when they need to wear a mask, and you can get your fill of
They can't make
baseball.
money like that, though. They have to play games and serve ads, and that's where they are.
But they're not making, to your point there, Nestor, they're not going to make...
That's what boggles my mind. The part that boggles my mind is what's the upside here?
Right.
What is the upside? I get the National Football League thinks they can play a whole season, serve all their TV ads, get all their Fox money, sell stuff, sell Washington Red stuff, and whatever they want to do. But what is the grand outcome of all of this if Lamar Jackson gets COVID and gives it to his mother? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, you tell me. Jeff, I love you, man. We're going to sell you some homes here. Wear your mask. Keep your wife and the kids and the whole family, mom, dad, everybody safe over there. We'll send everybody out to Mohler and Gary. Jeff Mohler has been my friend since. When do you remember me? Were you like 8 years old the first time you met me, or were you like 15?
Oh, wow.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it was. I think I first met you, actually. It was a dance. I want to say it was at Dundalk High School. And you might have been the DJ. That might have been like early in your DJ days.
No. I DJ'd your mom's at Lansdowne. I DJ'd a party for your mother at Lansdowne in about 93 or 4. But
it was before that. I'd met you before that. I was young because I was in high school, and I knew you well before.
Did your dad bring you to a high school dance? Maybe.
Yes. I think
maybe on a Friday night or something. Okay, well that would have been like I graduated in '85, so that would make it '83 or '84.
That makes sense.
What year were you born?
That makes sense. 76.
Man, you always seem so much younger than me until we got old. Now we feel like we're like the same age. It's weird. I remember when you were a kid. Jeff Mohler, born in 76. The spirit of 76. 410-489-2621. Mohler and Gary. Love to you and the family. Stay safe. I'm glad. We're all in it together. We will have another Ravens season. We will win another championship. It just doesn't have to be right now. That's all I'm saying. Trying to be
You know,
smart.
the beauty with the Ravens is that they're young now. You know, they got a lot of young talent, so we're not. The window is opening; it's not closing. So that's the beauty, and the same with the Orioles too. This
I
is
just want
not
to get
a
you and
lost
Dad and everybody
season.
ready for when the NFL eventually shuts this thing down because it's a better idea than playing. That at some point, I keep thinking November 3rd, the people that voted for this con man will wake up. Maybe I'm wrong about that too. So, I've been wrong about other things, but I would think that good sense. I'm an American. I'm 50 years old. I always think, well, good sense will prevail because my mom would say that or my dad would say that. I don't know. I'm beginning to worry about good sense, Jeff, but glad to know that you and I still have it. Jeff Mohler and Gary Realty. Get out there, sell a home, buy a home. The interest rates are low, and Jeff wears a mask, right? Right.
Absolutely,
All
we got to
right.
wear masks. We got to disinfect surfaces when we go in. So we're safe in what we're doing, and we're getting people in houses safely. So that's a main goal.
MohlerandGary.com, the way to find them. Nasty at WNST.net, the way to find me. Big appreciation to our friends at Cole Roofing. I'm going to have Bill Cole on this week. It's been a little while. Back in the, in the spring, things are a little crazy, but Bill's mellowed out, back from the beach. We're going to sit around and talk about life as we always do. All of our community and charity segments are brought to you by Cole Roofing and Gordian Energy, saving you money with those solar panels up on the roof. All of our sponsors from DeHark and Planet Fitness and Chicken Palooza Month. I am Nestor. We are calm. We're local. We're WNST.net, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore, and we're always Baltimore positive.